What's up, Star Trek fans? It's great to be here with you. I'm alive. I haven't been doing much of anything, so I hope you guys are all well. I am not. I am not well, but I hope you guys are well. So there's 4 movies that could be coming out. Let's just get into this right now. It's Star Trek Late Night. I hope you guys leave comments down below. Section 31. First of all, I'll tell you why I'm not really excited for any of this, and that's because Star Trek movies normally aren't that great, right? Star Trek movies don't usually do very well, especially after the original series movies. But luckily, we recently had a great Picard series by Terry Matalas, 10 episodes that felt like a real movie and that felt like really good Star Trek. It's pretty good Star Trek. It was really good. But first up is Section 31. Michelle Yeoh, she's so great, but I have never really liked Section 31 because it goes against everything that is Star Trek and that we know about the future, and it's arguably it's always been something where I like the idea of Section 31 existing in Star Trek in the background because it always allows for a story or something to be explained in a way, or if you got to get a little darker about something, there's something there. But I try to hope it doesn't really, we don't hear too much about it and it doesn't have too much of an effect on anything because it just goes so against Star Trek. So for that reason, I'm not excited about this at all. Plus, these are the people that did Discovery, and we know that show is just trash. And so the people that made Discovery, I guess, are making a movie about Section 31. That's a double strike. Thumbs up, Michelle Yeoh. Thumbs down, Section 31. Thumbs down, Discovery people. New Trek, and it sucks. The next movie that could be coming out is a prequel to the 2009 J.J. Abrams movies. So what I don't understand about that is how could it, if it's a prequel to those movies, then that means it's also a prequel to the Prime timeline, which, by the way, if you don't understand, as you should know, but maybe you're younger, I don't know, all classic Star Trek from the 60s to the late 90s to the 2000s of Enterprise, all of that stuff is all real Star Trek. And in 2009, it's an alternate universe show. That's why we enjoy it, sort of, because I can pretend it's not really the Star Trek timeline I know. That's why J.J. Abrams 1, 2, and 3 Star Trek movies, I accept them because they're not really Star Trek. Or they're not really part of the timeline we all know. But this movie would be the prequel to that. But if it's the prequel to that, then I guess it would be after Kirk's father died and the timeline was altered. So I'm assuming it's after the Kelvin was just, I'm just assuming it's after the Kelvin was destroyed, but before Kirk takes over the Enterprise. So will it be about Pike? Plus, Pike is already in a TV show now. So is Anson Mount going to play Pike? What's going to happen? I don't know. So we don't know what that is and what that's going to be about, but that's in the works. And so, I don't care that much, and I'm confused, and I don't want any more prequels. Why is Star Trek have so many prequels now? It's just, please stop it. They don't even know how to do Star Trek anymore. Anyway, the third film that is, these are all films that are actually engaged in some sort of talk or production. Well, I guess they really haven't entered production, but they're all engaged in script writing, directors, and potential stories, and I mean that's pretty far along for this. Star Trek 4, the 4th movie in the J.J. Abrams time line of the Kelvin timeline, the alternate Star Trek timeline with Chris Pine as Captain Kirk. The 4th movie, that is rumored to be happening still somehow. How could all these movies be happening? And this would probably be of the four potential rumored movies, this would probably be the only one that may get a actual theatrical release, which I guess makes sense. I don't know if it's ever going to happen just on the salaries of these guys. The only person, what is Zachary Quinto, what has Quinto been doing, man? What has he been doing? He's been doing some weird Storage Wars show or something. I don't know. So, but I don't know. These actors are going to have high salaries, so I don't know what they're going to demand or need or what the story is, but all I know is that none of the movies have really fully delivered for me. I feel like 2009 is the best movie of all three. You know what I mean? The villain is a little bit shallow, and the story is a little wobbly, and certainly the characters are different really than we really know, and some of the Star Trek lore is altered, so that makes me upset. But all in all, I really would give 2009 Star Trek, like, I give it a thumbs up. I like the movie. I liked it at the time, even though I thought to myself, this is not correct. But I knew it was an alternate timeline, so I was okay with that. So I do think 2009 was the best movie. I think Star Trek Into Darkness had some really cool like shots and good guy bad guy stuff that sort of happened, but in the end it was just devastatingly cringe and terrible. And I think the third movie is probably the most Star Trek like of the three movies, but there's a little bit of a boringness to it. It almost kind of reminds me of Insurrection on rewatch. Like when Star Trek Insurrection is like really a very Star Trek story, but in the movies it's just a little bit boring at times. So I like it, but it's a little bit off. And I feel like Star Trek 3 is like that, where it's like I don't do as well rewatching it, but the first time I saw it I thought this is the best Star Trek they've done. But it's not as fun on the rewatch. So for that reason I feel like all three J.J. Abrams movies fall kind of like they're like all 6 or 7 out of 10 movies. But anyway, the point is, a fourth one, could the fourth time be a charm? Could they actually do a Star Trek 4 that ends up being better than all the other three movies somehow? I don't know if they could possibly do that. It'd be really cool if they did, though, man. Imagine if they executed a movie that was an 8 out of 10 for me. And you may love the other ones, but I don't. But imagine if they executed a wonderful movie, an 8 or 9 out of 10 movie. That would be amazing. But I don't see that happening. And I know it's 4 in this franchise, but it's not 4 in real life. It's like, what is it, 15 or something like that? So it becomes an off. And do we count Section 31 now as a movie? Is that a movie? I don't even know. So whatever. So anyway, kind of looking like, okay, cool. If they do it, cool. Like, I'm less mad at Star Trek 4 than I will be at Discovery and things like that screw up Star Trek, because I know this is an alternate timeline, so whatever. But even if it could be as good as the 2009 Star Trek, I think that would be a win. It'd be nice to have 2009 be a pretty decent movie, and then the next two, be different, and then have this last punch. That'd be really cool. It would be really cool too if they did like all the universes colliding, coming together. That would be really cool. It's too bad Leonard Nimoy is gone, because first of all, it's too bad that Star Trek hates William Shatner. They hate Kirk. They hate William Shatner, probably because he's kind of like right-leaning or whatever, and he's a white guy. But like, William Shatner's alive, and it's too bad Spock is not alive. But it would be really cool if they could do a story where the timelines are all converging. We've seen that before, and we've seen in Star Trek The Next Generation them converge timelines. So why not base a whole movie around timelines and the universe? And I know that we all as Star Trek fans understand the multiverse. Like, we've had the multiverse in Star Trek since forever. Since the 60s, we've had the multiverse, the mirror universe in Star Trek. And so, some people would say, oh, they're jumping on the bandwagon of all the Marvel and everything else. Well, no, we've had this forever. So in Star Trek 4, why not make a movie that's like, it's got everybody in it? You could bring in Patrick Stewart's Picard, the TNG crew. You could bring in this crew. You could bring in everybody, and they could be all in a movie together. It would be crazy. Can you imagine that? I think that'd be really cool. But it might be too much. It might be too insane, and I don't know. Maybe people wouldn't like that. I don't know. But that'd be kind of cool. And you could call it Star Trek Universe or Star Trek something like that. It's not just and it would be that the mirror universe is essentially like going to conquer all the universes somehow. And they've figured out a way to do this, or something like that is happening. But whatever. Anyway, let's move on to the last one. The last one is a Star Trek Picard movie that is really heavily being rumored to happen. I am shocked about this because it's apparently it would be a Star Trek Picard movie where it's about Picard, and it's not. But like we got a really good closing to the story in Star Trek Picard Season 3. I mean, granted, that should have been a movie itself instead of Picard Season 3, but it was so good, right? But Star Trek Picard Season 1 and 2 were arguably, but they were terrible. Like, let's be honest, most people, maybe you liked it, maybe some people thought it was okay. I got to tell you, most people don't really like it, and I think it was trash. Seasons 1 and 2 of Picard, I thought they were terrible. But Season 3 of Picard is amazing, not because the crew is back necessarily, although that is a big help and a big crutch that the writers had to play with that playground, but they just wrote differently in Picard Season 3. But this would be a movie about Picard, probably, and like a following of him and a character study. But it's like that's sort of what 3 seasons of Picard were about, or at least the first 2 seasons of Picard were about, until the 3rd season where it involved more than just Picard. But why would you want to go back to this and revisit it after we had such a great ending and story to the TNG crew? I'm very concerned with the people. Unless Terry Matalas was writing this, I'm very concerned that the people in charge of this would be awful, and Patrick Stewart would be in charge of it mostly, and his ideas are atrocious usually. Like Patrick Stewart's ideas, I mean, if this is the case, we're going to see Picard die of a suffering death or something. I mean, that's the way Patrick Stewart thinks, it seems like, with everything. Everything is suffering and death and horrible, and it's just never a happy ending. So I'm concerned about that. Now, if they did a Picard movie where him and Beverly get married at the end or something, and there's a kiss and all the TNG crew is there for the wedding, and it's Picard and Beverly at the wedding, and everyone's celebrating it, and we end that way, that would be nice. But my problem is that we just had an ending in Picard Season 3 with the whole crew around the table. It was beautiful, just like TNG ended. So, to do another ending in a movie like that would be weird. I guess it would be like double dipping again. And also, but to not do that then again leaves you with just Picard and some story. And I think Picard, if the Next Generation writers were writing a Picard movie, I think it could end up being okay. Although, their movies weren't the greatest either. But just the Star Trek movies don't work very well. Usually. They just don't do well anymore. None of them do. And so then, and Picard didn't do well without the crew. And he didn't do well without Terry Matalas writing it. And a lot of Patrick Stewart's ideas are awful. And so you put all that together, and I mean, you're looking at potentially a terrible movie. So it's like we got 4 rumored movies for Star Trek, and yet I have pessimism about all of them. I am concerned about all of them. It's like I really want more Star Trek. I'm dying for more Star Trek. Star Trek Strange New Worlds has gone to hell for me. That show has gone to hell. I'm done. I can't believe it. I was into the first season kind of, and I was like, I can deal with this, I think. And then just after season 2, I'm done. That is not Star Trek. It's some cartoony, goofy show. It's very strange. Strange New Worlds is very strange. I'm done with that. Strange New Worlds is a drama kids, flamboyant drama kids are now in charge of Star Trek. That's what Strange New Worlds is. The Glee Club got a hold of Star Trek. It's so terrible, but it does have its own distinct feeling, I'll tell you that. But Good God Almighty. So the Star Trek Picard movie, do I want to, of all of them, which one am I most excited about? I would be the most excited about a Picard movie, but I'm not, because I know what could happen. So I am very concerned. So if you told me Terry Matalas was in charge of any of these, I would actually think, wow, okay, wait a minute, maybe that could be good. Now, some guy who directed the Star Trek-y dark episode of Black Mirror and does horror movies is in charge of the prequel Kelvin timeline movie, which, that guy seems pretty good, but I don't know. I don't know what to make of all of this, and I'm starting to get concerned, and I'm starting to feel like, is this going to be a huge amount of quantity over quality? Because right now, for a while, we've had too much quantity over quality for Star Trek. And in my opinion, the only thing good Star Trek since 2009, J.J. Abrams movie, and if you even want to count that, otherwise I'm going back to Enterprise 2005, the only good Star Trek we've had is Picard Season 3. And that is because the cast came back, and it's really because Terry Matalas wrote a goddamn fire story. Anyway, I'm concerned about Star Trek, but it's funny how happy and amazed and optimistic I became as I watched Picard Season 3. I became so optimistic and happy. Happy again. Happy to see Star Trek. And it had been so long since I had been. And now, ever since Picard Season 3 ended, and the longer the time goes without Terry Matalas tweeting out, guess what? Or something like that. I just feel all the hopelessness and despair of what the Star Trek franchise has come back. It was gone, or Terry Matalas erased it for a year. And it's coming back. Not even a year now, but it's hard to believe it was 8 months ago that we were watching Picard Season 3, but it's all coming back now. It's all the depression is coming back, and real life is depressing now too. So, it's kind of going together. I feel lost and sad. But what do you guys think about Star Trek? 4 movies potentially, and 3 of them probably coming to streaming service. Only one of them being an actual theatrical release, probably. We'll see what happens. But what are you looking forward to, not looking forward to? What do you disagree with me on this list? I don't know. Of movies, what do you want to see? I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see. This is Star Trek Late Night. I'll catch you guys in the next video. And shout out to No Money G, who's been dropping super chats on pretty much almost all my videos I ever upload. He's been dropping super thanks down below, donating to me. Thank you, No Money G, very, very much, man. Super nice of you, dude. I really, really appreciate that. And if you guys want to super thanks, you can down below. If not, that's cool. Just leave a like and share everywhere. Star Trek, hashtag Star Trek, I don't know. And paypal.me/Joe Cronin Show. PayPal.me/Joe Cronin Show. Otherwise, subscribe if you're brand new. Want to have you here for more Star Trek videos, news, and ramblings that I have on Star Trek.